Sandman.
Like roses and clover.
Boom, 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 boom.
The night is over, Sandman. Sending a dream. In the cutie.
You're listening to the Everyone But Us podcast, straight from the heart of London.
What is happening, everyone?
What's going on?
Welcome back to another episode of Everyone But Us podcast.
Ooh.
I'm one of the main hosts. My name is Lewis Gino.
AK Jerk Weiss.
Hey, calm down, Jamie Oliver, yeah? Calm down, bruv. Plates us in the fucking, what's it called, Jerk Rice formula. But that's another story for another time. To my left, who you've just heard, is the man from KD, Wem Dizzle.
Yes,
Wemmer.
AKA Realist of the Wheel.
AKA Black Scotch.
Oh, yeah, that's the rule. That's the one. That's the one that's gonna have to stick there.
I'm happy with that.
And the last, yeah, you better get him to Trevor Phillipson, mate. And the last one, who you might have just heard, is the man known as Suge White, Suge Knight, adopted brother from Hertfordshire.
The White Power version. Let's just get it out there.
Suge White Power.
Steve BDF.
Woo!
Alright.
So, what's been happening? Like, what have we been up to?
Nothing, man. It's a bit weird because we've got a very special guest, and there's 4 guys in a hotel room. 2 of us are sitting on the bed.
Oh.
2 other guys are watching us sitting on the bed.
Yeah,
so I don't know how this is going to end.
I've got my camera phone out.
Oh, mate, this is only going to stay. This is only whatever happens on the podcast stays on the podcast.
This is just between us and the 300 or 400 people that are going to listen to this.
Yes. You know what? Before we chat, so we just get it out there and introduce.
Get what out there?
Oh, we should just introduce our our second overseas guest.
Yes.
And I'll let Lewis do it, or Steve.
Yeah, let Steve do it. Best
Go on, yeah. It's about time I fucking took a starring
spoke
role.
a bit more.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I was saying,
Yeah. This is why I don't speak. I just can't get a fucking word in. So our special guest this week, or this episode rather, is none other than Mr. Josh Stout.
Woo!
Hello.
Who's not in Stout?
How you doing?
This is a very, very, very special moment for us, man. Stout. Where do we start, man?
Where do we start?
Which
is
Where
question
do
one.
we end is probably a better question.
Ooh, we'll get into that. But Josh, man, how you doing anyway?
Good, man.
What are you doing in England, man? What are you doing in London?
Wasting fucking money and time. Getting old and fat.
Oh. It's not too bad for you now. You're getting before 10 years ago you'll come here, $1 would be what? 50p?
Something like that.
Now the exchange rate is in your favour, right?
It is a little more in our favour now, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Than it was then. Which is, great because now I actually have a little more money than I did in those days, man. Like, I can afford it more.
Yeah.
You were like really scrubbing back then,
We are currently sitting in London's only 5-star Premier Inn.
We're doing it lush. I was going to say Savoy, man. You just spoiled it. So you came over here for a show, right?
We found out the band Camel was playing one of these 70s progressive rock bands that I really love, man. They never play the States anymore, and these guys, you can imagine, are like 70 plus years old.
Wow.
It's kind of like a bucket list band. And we found out they were playing and just checked flights just for the hell of it, and they were cheap, so we said, "Fuck it, let's do it."
Wow, man.
Yeah, why not?
Have you ever heard this band Camel?
I've heard. I know the name. I don't know the band. I'm not quite as much into prog rock as Josh is, but they're one of the bands of the 70s, and I'm into a lot of like old music as well, as you know. Me and Josh were talking the other day about how, as time goes by, there's certain bands that if you haven't seen them yet, you better go and fucking see them because they're going to be dead soon.
Yeah,
So
this guy's had lots of health problems
Wow.
too, already. He's fought cancer like twice,
Oh shit, man.
So I went to see Rose Tattoo for the first time. That's the first time I'd ever seen them.
How old are they? How old are Rose Tattoo?
Singer's 70 years old.
They can still sing?
Yeah, they fucking
Damn.
smashed it.
Really?
Yeah, it was really good, really good.
See, I know nothing about these I've heard of Rose Tattoo, but I've never heard of
Ray was
Camel
there
Lover.
actually. Ray was there.
Oh,
Ray
was he?
Leron was there, yeah.
Ray, big up to Ray Dust,
And Watford John as well.
Big up to Watford John. RG
Sorry.
Bargy.
Yeah, I can't say I've heard of Camel. I've heard of the toe and also the stick. But
You know about the camel toe, but not the camel.
It's really pretty boring, awful fucking 70s music, but it's, you know.
Did you say the band Royal Albert Hall?
Yeah, yep.
Shit, man.
So that on top of it, you know, I've never been there before either, so it was kind of like, you know, knocking out 2 bucket list things.
Well, at least you saw them instead of that fucking weird band Ghost. They were there the week previously.
Oh, don't get me started on them.
yeah.
We got a lot of friends that like
them
those.
Nah, not really.
Yeah,
man.
they're weird,
It's
man.
not really my
No,
thing.
horses for courses. Some people are into different stuff and now, but just not for me. That shit.
Nah, me
It's just
either.
not for me.
I think Ghost is like looks like King Diamond, but just sounds like fucking. Some
It's kind of like just
80s
pop music, yeah.
It's just really
But
weird.
people really fuck with them though. Like
Oh,
people
yeah.
really
But
like them, man.
Oh, they're huge,
Yeah,
man.
the what a lot of people say is though is their live show's really good. Like I mean, all the sort of like background shit and the theatrics and everything that they seem to do, but the music wise, it's just weird to me. Like
Yeah, they supported Maiden last summer. I took my son to see Iron Maiden and they opened, and that was the only time I've ever seen them.
Oh, okay.
And it was really theatrical. You know what I mean? I think that's what appeals to people a lot. Just
Definitely.
like King Diamond did, just like Kiss did, just like
Yeah.
Alice Cooper did, you know?
Slipknot.
The difference is those bands had good music to back it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Do you know what? I think what again, this is something we talk about a lot on this podcast. I think is that we are all getting older, so
Talk for yourself.
everything that we see, we're seeing it for the 2nd or 3rd cycle, and kids are only seeing Ghosts. That's their first
That's their
experience.
first cycle,
I
yeah.
don't know who fucking Kiss or King Diamond are. They're seeing this band dressed up funny playing rock music, and they're like, "Oh fuck, this
So
is new.
that's
This is new and cool." Like
That is essentially their Kiss, basically. Isn't it?
No,
Yeah.
but do you know what? I was watching Donaton of the 2018. Yeah, it was on MTV, and there was a lot of bands on there that I've never heard of that do the whole makeup thing. So that's
Yeah.
always been a part of metal, isn't it? Dressing
Yeah.
up and shit. Nah,
definitely.
Am I wrong?
Fucking hell.
Yeah, metal's always
Cooper,
been theatrical as
fucking-
hell, man, you know?
Yeah.
It's a big part of it.
Yeah.
I met Alice Cooper before. Just a little quick story.
Yeah.
Well, tell us.
Yeah.
Was that in the orphanage? And you were in the box, and he said, "Come here," and he give you a breadcrumb.
He went school's out for summer, little kid. When I was working in Selfridges and for a company called Nevada Bob's, he's a big. If I'm not sure people know
Golfer,
about it.
isn't he?
He's a massive golfer, like.
Yeah.
And he was like,
I can't imagine him playing golf, man.
I'm saying like
I
literally.
just can't imagine.
He's a fucking Christian as well now.
Yeah.
Really?
Is he?
Oh, didn't know that.
He converted to Christianity. I'm sure he did, like years ago.
But like he's walked in and like I looked at this geezer and I was like, I know this guy from something. I was like,
Dad.
Now you mention it, there is a resemblance.
I was like, fucking Alice Cooper, man. What's he fucking doing here? I mean, I never started talking to him about music and shit because I mean, I know a couple of tunes, but I don't know his back catalogue and that. But just talking about golf and he was gonna buy this golf
Bat.
accessory called forgot what it was fucking called. Like this is Swing Buddy or some bullshit like that. And he was like talking about it and I was giving him a little demonstration of the golf. Yeah, it's just going to turn bad if I carry on talking about this story. Like, I really even make it out that fucking Dennis Cooper is my fucking adopted father. That'd be pretty cool though.
Actually, that's quite a cool question, right? Where's the most unlikely place that you guys have seen or bumped into a famous person?
I've got one actually. Again, this is a golf related thing. Funnily enough, I used to work on a golf course, and I was taking care of the driving range, and I'm on my break one morning, and basically we had this deal on that you could get a party of like 20 people, and you'd get dinner, you get breakfast, you'd get a load of free balls to hit out on the driving range, you'd get a round of golf, and then you get dinner, and it was all in a like, you know, big sort of deal kind of thing. So we had this like, I think there's about 15 of them or something like that, just walk in. I'm looking at one of them like, nah, fuck off. It's fucking Nico McBrain.
Who's that? That's funny. I actually don't know who that
Are
is.
you fucking serious?
No.
He's from the East End as well.
Yeah.
I'm drummer from Iron Maiden.
Go on, say go on.
Drummer from Iron
Oh,
Maiden.
sorry, yeah, I know, I don't know.
And
yeah.
he just fucking walks into the driving. And I was 18 at the time. I'm just
Oh,
like,
wow.
and me being me, who always says dumb shit because I don't know, maybe I'm just dumb. I looked at him, and he's pretty distinctive. looking guy, like he's got that fucked up nose and like the long hair and stuff. I looked at him and goes to him, excuse me, you are who I think you are, aren't you? And he looked at me and he goes, depends who you think I am, mate.
That's fucking crazy.
But he was really nice, man. I really like.
Who did you meet with? Or
I had a weird one, man, because in my I'm like I do like electrical stuff, and I was working in a hotel room, and I was working in a hotel, and I needed to get into a particular hotel room, right? And I was waiting around. He said, basically the person at reception said to me, "There's a special guest in there, so we have to make sure they're not in the room." So I'm waiting around, and then eventually they come to me. The reception come to me and said, "It's fine for you to go in the room. The guest doesn't mind." We're in a room. It's fucking Johnny Rotten, man.
Yeah,
lying on the bed. I swear on my life, man. I was like, "What the
hell?
Fuck, man!" And he was proper friendly, man. He goes, "Yeah, what you doing?" And I was like, "Wow, man!" I didn't say nothing to him because I was kind of in work. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that was kind of mad. What about you, Josh? You ever?
It's kind of a coincidence, but I used to go to these horror conventions. You go to these things and they have all these celebrities there, and people line up all day to get autographs from them and stuff, which I was never really into doing. But I'd go to like buy movies and just T-shirts and books and shit like that. Because I'm a collector of all that garbage. But that year, Bruce Campbell from Evil Dead was like one of the big guests. There was a couple times I walked through like the vendor hall, and there was just people lined up all day. You see the same faces like hours later, standing just 10 feet, 10 steps forward. I'm like, man, how can you guys do this? So anyway, I bought all the shit I was going to buy, and I sat down at the hotel bar, and I was going to have a couple beers before I left. And so I'm just sitting there, and I guess that was right around the time that like some of the stars started wrapping up these autograph sessions. I'm sitting there, and Bruce Campbell just comes walking up, and he sits down at the bar like one seat over. I'm like,
holy shit.
Oh, hey, it's Bruce Campbell. These people have been waiting in line all day just to like pay him $100 for a photograph,
You never know, he might be like, "Oh, that's Josh from Stout."
That's probably why I came over, But yeah, he was real cool, man. I didn't talk to him about movies or anything. He sat down, he got I think it was like a white wine spritzer or something like that, which is, Bruce Campbell drinks white wine spritzers. Like, kind of ruins the image a little bit.
I thought his image was kind of like rough and ready.
Yeah, these Hollywood guys, man, it's all an act.
Have you ever met anyone that's like your hero and have turned out to be a complete prick? They say never meet your heroes, man.
I've heard a lot of stories about it, but I can't say I have personally.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah, I can't.
He's not a hero, but remember that TV presenter on like football, Matt Smith? Do you remember him? Matt Smith used to do like a lot of stuff on BBC and like ITV. Just
don't know the
shit.
name, no.
But you probably know his face, like. But yeah, he's no hero, but he's fucking arsehole. Right? He's a proper fucking dickhead. Yeah, I remember meeting him when I was at Selfridges. He was a prick.
Yeah, it fucking sucks, man. When you meet fucking.
So I'm not saying he's an arsehole, but my favourite band in the world, for my own
One
reason,
Direction
is One Direction. No, is Love Hate. So you might not know Love Hate. So it's a bit of background. They're like early 90s, late 80s.
Awful glam rock.
It's not awful.
This guy loves glam rock.
It's not awful. It's good. It's not glam rock anyway. It was just weird rock from the 90s, and I'm a massive fan. I've travelled to Los Angeles to see them play their fucking reunion show with all the original members 10 years ago, and the rest of the band were always sort of friendly. None of them really know who I am. Obviously, I'm just a fan, and they've got loads of fans that keep turning up to see them. The person that's carried the flame of that band, the torch for that band, is the singer, Jizzy Pearl.
Jizzy Pearl.
That's his name.
Is that his name for a reason, or?
Jizzy fucking
Apparently, I'm sure I heard the story. Apparently, the story is that he had a nephew or something like that, and his real name's Jim, and apparently his little nephew at a certain age kept pronouncing his name Jizz. So he just he kind of just.
That's
thought,
unfortunate.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
If I met someone that had that name, I'd be standing at a distance every time I fucking was in the same room as them.
But so obviously I'm a big fan of his band. I'm a big fan of his music and all that kind of stuff. And it's not so much that he's like a dick or anything like that, but that fucker has met me probably 20 or 30 times now, and straight up blanks me every time, and I don't know why. Straight up,
Probably because
fucking
you're the weird
blanks me,
English
man.
guy that follows him
Yeah,
to fucking
no,
Los
you
Angeles.
know what? I'm
you
not
know?
the only one. Like, a lot of people flew there for that show. Fucking
This guy again,
man.
Jesus Christ.
I'm gonna have
Yeah,
to,
maybe,
I'm gonna
yeah.
have to jizz all over him.
Do you know what? Maybe he's heard my fucking singing and he feels the heat a little bit. I don't
Ooh.
know. Don't worry, he's not listening.
You want a Jizzy Pole necklace?
Oh man. So let's talk about it, man. Let's talk about Stout, man. Josh, you grew up in Baltimore?
No, I grew up in Frederick. It's a little town about, well, it's not small, but it's about 45 minutes west of Baltimore. When I grew up there, it was really country, man. It was kind of a country farm kind of a town. So no, I didn't grow up in Baltimore, but I wish I did most of my teenage years, you know.
Did you spend a lot of time in Baltimore though, like?
Yeah, you know, when I was old enough to go to shows and stuff, that's all I ever did, man, was go to Baltimore. A lot of DC too. A lot more shows were in DC when I was a teenager than Baltimore. Baltimore didn't have the best scene in the 80s. It had one in the early 80s, but then it kind of started to deteriorate because of violence and shit.
Are we talking hardcore? Or are we just talking metal and hard music?
Well, there was
in
like, you
general?
know, there was this place called the Loft in Baltimore that was a pretty legendary venue. That a lot of touring bands came through. I mean, everybody played there. Everybody. Slayer played there, you know, when they were on the Show No Mercy tour, kind of. That
nice.
era, you know, like 83 through 86. Everybody played there. Circle Jerks, Black Flag. But post that kind of era, like the kind of hardcore that our bands played, you know, there was only one band that really was doing that stuff in the 80s and into the early 90s. That was Gut Instinct.
Oh,
So
right,
there really wasn't much of a heavy hardcore scene, I guess you want to say.
So when did the hardcore scene start to pick up then in like Baltimore?
Well, I guess, you know, when Next Step Up started, which they were like the next band down the chain to start playing that kind of music. And JR, who sings for Next Step Up, he did a lot of shows and stuff, you know. He really pushed the envelope to make that kind of stuff more popular in town.
Yeah, I think, would you guys say Next Step Up is the first band you heard from Baltimore, like hardcore?
I couldn't tell you personally. I couldn't tell you. What I was going to ask though is, didn't you have a band in the 80s though, right? A hardcore band, or am I imagining that?
I had a high school band called Balance of Power, and it was
what a name!
It was kind of an agnostic front, kind of a sound like a crossover, Calls for Alarm, Liberty and Justice era, AF,
yeah.
mixed with kind of an animosity COC, like. It was super metal, man. Like double bass, double picking, you know, and then like some heavy like moshy stuff too. But yeah, that was from like 86 to 88 or something like that.
Is that when you started doing Revelation around that time?
No, that would have been the early 90s, I guess, like 91 or something.
I don't know how many people would know actually that. I think people from here, from like the London scene,
Yeah,
just
I didn't
associate
even know
you
that.
with, just associate you with being in Stout for that time. But yeah, if you want to tell us a little bit about Revelation.
Wow, man, that's
When
I'm learning something here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's super interesting. Let me explain it.
That's why you had that many suitcases, all the money, right?
You know, in the town that I lived in, like the hardcore scene was completely fucking non-existent, man. Like there was a few of us from high school. You know, the shows had a few people here and there, but you know, I booked Sheer Terror and Prong at this venue in Frederick in 1988.
Wow, man.
Before Sheer Terror's album was out, you know, nobody really knew. But you figure in a small town like that, people are hungry for shows. They don't give a fuck. They come see, you know, anything. There were like 10 people there for Prong, and this is when Force Fed was out. Prong had 2 records out by that time. You know, it was pretty bleak. So that's why I was always going to Baltimore and DC and stuff, because there were like-minded people there and shit. You know? But the town that I lived in, man, there was nothing to do. I couldn't start a band. You know, I would book these shows, nobody would come out. So, you know, there was a scene for this other style of music, like this doom metal stuff. It was like super Sabbath influenced, and I always loved that shit too, you know. So those were a lot of the people that I went to high school with, you know, I would hang out with, were into that shit. And you know, there was some opportunity to play in a band like this band Revelation from Baltimore needed a bass player, and I, you know, didn't really have any other prospects to play music, and I was like, well, give this a try, you know, kind of go back to my childhood roots and like play some like Geezer Butler shit on the bass, you know? And it was great, man. I loved that band. It was a lot of fun. I actually learned how to like be a better musician playing that kind of music, because before that I was just playing like thrashy punk and hardcore and stuff, man. I actually kind of started to learn like what you had to do to be a real bass player and those kinds of things. Not real, but you know what I mean, like more traditional, like, you know, style of music when it comes to playing.
See, I've played bass in bands, and so I don't know if anybody listening to this who's a bit of a Doom fan, you might have heard of Age of Taurus as well, which is Tubbs' band, who's a good
Tubbs?
friend of myself and Josh, who's also a hardcore scene veteran in the UK as well, and London. And when they played their first show, it happened to be in Baltimore at the Sidebar.
Yeah.
And he didn't have the band put together by that point.
Well, you guys were over his Ambush at the time.
Yeah. So we toured.
It kind of just fell together because
it
of
was
that.
supposed to be a tour, but it wasn't.
Oh yeah, the Ambush tour.
Like two shows and a drunken fucking week of debauchery. But I played guitar and Josh played bass, and I remember in the rehearsal that we had, like looking at the way that you were playing bass and thinking, damn, because being someone who's played bass and I like playing bass, I was like, that's fucking different. Like when I was watching you playing, I was just like, he looks like a proper bass player to me. Like same with you as well, actually, Waymer. Like when you're playing, I'm like, you look like a proper bass player. And then I felt like an imposter. I felt like a fucking imposter.
4-string guitar player.
I really like playing bass, and I love doing like all the crazy shit underneath that people kind of half notice. But sometimes you get that satisfaction. Someone will come up to you and go, "Fucking love what you were playing. Like I saw what you were doing there."
The great thing about playing bass is that nobody can hear you fuck up. You know, it's,
And that,
it's a fucking mix, so you can just do whatever the hell you want. You know.
Yeah, that
nobody gets mad at you like they get mad at the guitar player, you know.
Yeah, for real, man. So how did you meet the guys from Stout, man? Let's get on. Let's talk about Stout. How did that all start, man?
It was from me booking shows in Frederick, booking, you know, bands that those guys were into. Like the first show that I did with like bigger bands was like I think Ludachrist in '87, and the reason we would book these bigger bands is because we wanted more people to come see our own band. You know, so we'd book bigger bands to draw a bigger crowd.
Oh, and then you do like put yourself on a support slot.
Yeah. Just, you know, that's how it went.
Yeah, for real.
So when the band broke up, you know, I kept doing some shows and stuff. I think I booked this California straight edge band that had a record out at the time called Instead, and they were on tour being supported by this Chicago kind of punk hardcore band called Life Sentence, and I had Breakdown on the bill.
Oh shit!
And this was, I guess, about '88. And those guys found out, these Baltimore guys found out the Breakdown was playing. And back then, you know, you made a flyer, you just put your fucking phone number right on the flyer, your parents' phone number. Shit, you know, people would just call you and say, "Oh, yo, are you the promoter for the show?" And
that's insane, isn't it?
How do I get there? What's the deal? Is this really happening? You know, you get all these calls. So I got a call from Mike Caver from Gut Instinct, and he was just asking me about it. We started talking about music because, you know, no internet back then. You met like-minded people. If somebody else that had heard of Sick of It All, you were like, yeah, I want to talk to this guy, man. You know, you just become friends that way. So those guys came up for that show, and Mike introduced me to his band members and like all those dudes. Like I met Tad that night. I met my buddy Rich that night. Like some lifelong friends, you know, just like that. And then they would have shows. Gut Instinct would play shows, and they would invite me. Hey, man, we're playing. You should come. And I would go. And you know, we used to go everywhere with those guys. Like the whole crew of Baltimore guys would follow them around different shows, you know. And
cool.
They always invited me to come too, and that was great because it was like all these fucking people were in the same stuff I was into.
Everyone but us. Straight from the heart of London.
Somehow I got Lou from Sick of It All's number, you know, and I was going to try to get Sick of It All to come down to Frederick and play a show. And I like called his house, you know, and his mother got on the phone, and like she had like a really thick accent. I don't know if she could even like, I think it was his mom anyway. she could barely speak English, you know, and like it's just hello, you know. Just you talking to people's parents and shit from like these famous bands and stuff. But that's just the way it was, man. It was kind of cool, you know. Like
it is cool to think back about it, but like it's just nowadays it's the most bizarre thing you would never do that
now, because obviously in the age we live in now, it's just basically someone just shoots you a message on like whatever platform you're on, or send you an email or some shit like that when that came in. But yeah, man, just ringing someone up and like asking where's his show or can we get on his show is it's fucking bizarre, man.
And fucking writing letters as well. Posting, fucking sitting there and writing with your hand a letter to someone that you'd never met and saying, hello, I want to buy your fucking single
demo t-shirt.
Can you send it to me? Fucking here's £5 in the envelope or whatever it was, like. And they'd write you a letter back, and then you'd fucking correspond to these people by mail as well. Like,
I mean, back we still got it. We used to have a thing called a PO box.
Yeah.
Where it's like, do you have that?
Yeah, the post office. You go in, you just assign you one with a key.
Yeah. But
pay a monthly fee.
When we started at Knuckle Dust, we couldn't afford. We tried to find out about a PO box, and it was too expensive. And I think that must have been the case for like a lot of bands. That's why people would just literally put their address on the fucking demo tape.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, that's crazy now. If you got into, if you went play somewhere and you get in some sort of beef or you get in a fight or something, you can next day you got people at your house, man. You couldn't do that now.
No.
It's mad that it never happened, or maybe it did. Maybe it did happen, but fucking.
I'm sure it has happened.
People just had their parents' address just on their fucking 7-inch single, like correspond to us at this address.
Yeah. I thought about that when I scanned a bunch of old flyers. Like a couple of years back, I found this box of flyers and scanned them all and made them digital, you know. And there were all these ones with like my parents' phone number on and stuff. She still has the same number, you know. So I like crossed them out and stuff before I scanned them.
Yeah, because now you got like the whole fucking
jokers like trolling your parents. And stuff.
And you got the whole like identity fraud thing nowadays, which is like a big thing that they can ruin your fucking life just because they've got your name and address and shit like that. It's mad.
Yeah,
times have changed.
It's kind of crazy, man.
We're all so fucking old. Listen to this, man. Jesus Christ.
Title of this fucking episode: How to Age Gracefully Out Hardcore.
You can tell that we're all well, Lewis is the youngest one in the room. Yeah. But you can tell we're all from a different. But Lewis, you were on the edge of the internet when you grew up. The internet was just about popping.
So I started secondary school. I don't want to make you all sound really old on that. I started secondary school in '96. So by so mid '90s, that's when the internet really took off, because obviously the .com boom of all Yahoo and Netspace. Was it Netspace? Was that what it was called?
Yeah, there was the Netscape,
AOL and shit like that. We had all that sort of thing, and obviously you had the old internet dial-up where it would make the fucking noise and it would knock off the fucking phone line. So you couldn't use the phone and use the internet at the same time. So if you pick the phone up, there would just be static on the other end. But yeah, I was at when the internet just took off, and there's all the whole fucking chat rooms and shit. So yeah.
I remember like back in when the internet first, we're going a bit off course there, but when the internet first come out, people couldn't really afford it, could they?
Oh man,
yeah, because it was like £1. It
was ridiculous. I just want to give a quick story, man. I was getting into the chat room thing, and I must have rinsed out. I didn't realise that it would charge you by the fucking minute on the phone bill.
Yeah,
I was on this chat line for half a day, man.
Shit!
One day I can't remember. I was in my room watching TV, and my dad just kicked the door. Boom! His eyes are red like a fucking demon, man. He had the phone bill in his hand. I will never forget that beating, man. I got beat, man.
It's funny you say that. I never got beat or anything, but there used to be this thing called South Park wrestlers. So it'd all be like fucking like South Park characters, but done as like the fucking wrestlers at the time. Because WWF as it was then, but WWE now is huge. So I'll be printing off all these fucking South Park wrestlers and then taking them to fucking school and selling them for like 50p a pot, or doing like 2 sheets for £1, just making a little bit of money. But then this phone bill coming for like £196,
and that's a lot of money back then, man.
I don't think I went on the internet for like at home for like 5 years. Just like I got scared into again.
Yeah, fucking hell, it's insane.
But
man.
90s, man, fucking good times.
I ended up
expensive.
In the late 90s, I ended up just getting a phone line installed into my bedroom. So because my parents just moaned at me about the phone bill.
Yeah.
So I just fucking thought, right, fuck it, I've got a job now. I'm gonna get my own phone line. Fuck that. Fuck like having to worry about all that. They can't moan at me anymore. And then my first bill was so fucking big. I was like, oh, now I understand.
That's how you learn, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
That is how you learn, man. So Stout, so you met all these guys anyway with Stout, and then when did you decide, what, we're going to be a band, let's fucking start writing some songs?
Those guys were a band before I joined. I wasn't the original guitar player.
Ah, right.
Yeah, those guys were established, man.
So they released that EP, the Dead Man Walking EP, like before you joined, is it?
Yeah, I guess that was kind of a sort of an official release, kind of a demo thing.
Okay.
They were together for a couple years anyway.
Were they blowing up at that point?
Were they what?
Were they blowing up? Were they well known?
Yeah, I mean around town, the people were coming out to the shows and stuff. I can't even remember what happened. I think they had another guitar player that filled in for the original one, and he didn't work out or something. And I was filling in for Next Step Up again, and I was singing for this.
Wait, you played the Next Step Up?
Yeah, I played with those guys a couple times.
Hey, come on, man.
See? This is all new
You're
to me.
skipping
as well.
stuff here, Josh, man.
You're not asking the right questions, I guess.
Yeah, man. Do you play the Next Step?
I played with those guys in the early 90s, I guess 93, 94, maybe 94, 95, something like that. For about a year, I filled in on bass and then second guitar for a little while. Never recorded anything with them. And then again, like in the late 90s, they asked me to fill in for them again for a little while. I could say that I was probably the only person that ever got fired from that band twice.
I was just about to say, you still in touch with them, but you got fired.
Oh, no, we're all still friends, man. Back in those days, I used to like to drink a lot, man, party a lot, and take shit seriously.
In those days?
I didn't say those days came to an end. Well, they actually have. But.
So what would happen? You'd like play a show, have a few drinks,
few too many,
and then beat someone up, or
no, just like not take the show seriously, not my guitar be out of fucking tune, and
sounds like
be a
someone to know.
sloppy mess, Yeah. It was well deserved. I mean, there's no hard feelings because I deserved it. You know what I mean? But it was just fun. It was, it wasn't my band. I was just helping some friends out. I guess I didn't take it seriously because of that, which wasn't fair to them.
But they had a big following, didn't they?
What's that?
Next Step Up had a big following.
Yeah, they were doing really well back then, man. Especially in the mid '90s, But I think it came from that. Like, I think JR introduced me to Scott. Like, I hadn't seen Tad in a while, but we were at a show, I think like a Hatebreed show or something, and JR introduced me to Scott, and, we got to talking and stuff, and I think he got my number that day, and he called me when they needed a guitar player. He's like, hey, I know you play guitar and stuff, man. Are you interested in, like, coming checking this out? And I was like, yeah, sure, And that was a different lineup. They also had another guitar player. It gets so fucking convoluted, man. With members and all that, you know how it is.
Yeah.
But we just started writing, and we were rehearsing in this skateboard shop in Baltimore and Fells Point, like once a week. We'd come down, throw some ideas around, and those guys were like super open to like, oh man, do you have any like ideas, like songs, like. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, man, I can see an opportunity here to like get some ideas involved, like, kind of maybe shaped us into something, because they were totally open to that. And obviously Tab was a fucking great singer, man. Like, he would throw lyrics over your riffs, you'd be like, oh man, it's so hard,
Powerful, isn't he, man?
I fucking love
powerful.
We talk about Tad's vocals, man. I like. I think he's got the most unique vocals in hardcore.
Very, very unique.
And that's what was cool about it too, for sure. Yeah, it was like so menacing, but like nothing you ever heard before.
It's one of those vocals that just sounds aggressive.
You want to
without
punch
being
someone.
like
You want to punch someone.
Forced at all,
without like screaming in your face, kind of like acted aggressive. It just feels aggressive, like just feels nasty.
Yeah,
like,
it's kind of empowering too. You hear them saying that stuff, and you're like, yeah. I'm not taking this shit either.
Yeah, and I think the fact, like, when you look at Tad as well, when you see the guy, you're like, I think he means it. Like, you know what I mean?
If I could compare his vocals, not his vocals, because his vocals are very unique. The flow, I would say, it's got a kind of Ice-T. Is that Ice-T, early Ice-T on Body Count?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's probably pretty fair, man.
No way
Because
yeah.
that's the era that like we grew up with, the hip hop that was coming out at the time. But that's what everybody was listening to, man. So there's definitely that influence there, I think. You know?
And there was a lot of hip hop beginning to be in hardcore and metal as well, actually, around that sort of time as well. That was kind of like everyone kind of wanted to do that a little bit as well, I think.
I think so too. I think that his lyrics aren't necessarily like hip hop lyrics, though.
No.
It doesn't.
No,
It's not a rap thing,
Yeah.
but it's influenced. You know?
I think what I mean by that is when you listen to Body Count at the early stuff, Ice-T's like telling a story, and the way that he does the words, it's a flow that's different from any other vocalist. And Tad's got that kind of, I can't explain it. The way he flows the words over the music is not a typical way you would write over music. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it sounds fucking hard and fucking amazing. Do you know what I mean?
You know, when you listen to it sometimes, and this goes for a lot of different kinds of bands, like when you listen to the way the singer flows over the music, and then later you like get the lyric sheet and read along, you're like, what the fuck? How did
that fit?
Yeah.
That's not what I was hearing at all. You know, then you read it like the way they break up the syllables and stuff.
Yeah,
man. Like,
yeah.
That's why I could never do that, man. You know, that's not my mind for that.
I don't. I'll say, what year did you actually join Stout then? Just
I think it was like 98 or 99, maybe.
did you like? Because obviously, me being a black guy, I've got another black guy sitting next to me, Lewis. With having a black singer, did you experience any issues with fucking Nazis at the show or any of that bullshit at all? Or?
We definitely dealt with that in Baltimore in general from back in, you know, even the 80s when it was really bad, because Gut Instinct had 2 black members too.
Oh, okay.
Mike Lars and Mike Caver were African Americans, and you know there wasn't a lot of that in hardcore, but it was cool because it represented Baltimore, which was a really, you know, mixed city, you know.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of Nazis around back then. It was still a thing, and there was a lot of fight. There was a lot of fucking violence. If you listen to Gut Instinct's lyrics, I mean, there's a lot of songs about that shit. The song Gut Instinct is about a night that actually happened when a bunch of Nazis got stomped out, you know.
Oh, holy shit, man.
But later on, as the time went on into the late 90s and stuff, there wasn't as much of that, you know. They started to not come around as much anymore, you know, because it wasn't a good idea, you know.
Yeah, you beat them enough times, they stopped doing it.
Sure.
Nah, it's fucking. What was the first stuff you started to write with Stout then? What was your first input?
I think the first thing I wrote with them was Betrayal. I think the song Betrayal. That stuff from the first album, you know, like there's like 5 songs or 6 songs on that first record that Dusty and Drew wrote with them, like Dead Man Walking, Schaefer Battle, Heavy Runner, that stuff. Dusty and those guys wrote, and then I think I wrote Betrayal and OS8. OS8 was a song that I had written for another band that was complete, and I was like, I love this. I don't want to just scrap it. You know, you guys want to try this? And they were like, yeah. How's it? You know, it was done like that. Dad had lyrics for it. So it was awesome. Then what's the other one? I guess Biocost. I think Dougie wrote Biocost.
Hard.
And
Talking to bass players,
Pete Moss.
Yeah,
Pete Moss. I think was another one we wrote. So yeah, that was the first stuff, I guess.
Oh, dope, man. Steve, you was gonna say something.
Yeah.
I was just about to be in like complete agreement.
Doug, man, people need to know about Doug.
Yeah, he's a
Like, that
monster.
guy is a fucking bass fiend.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Monster.
talk about fucking musician, bass player, man.
And his energy on stage as well,
He's
man.
so funny. He's one of the first people I remember like telling people to come into show. Everybody outside, come inside. He's said that so many times, like. But yeah, playing bass, I used to be like, fucking, all these geezers fucking wild in the bass, man. Like proper fucking wild.
Yeah, he's really, really a good bass player, man. Super talented.
And you know what as well? Like he's a fucking sick at beatboxing.
Yep.
Oh shit, yeah. Then he
Yeah.
got
Oh my days, man. Yeah, Ninja Fest in London that time. He got on the mic and he started doing this beatboxing, and it was like fucking. I was like, what the fuck? It was like the dude from fucking Police Academy, man.
Yeah.
Oh, what's his name? Oh,
Michael
shit.
Winslow.
that's it, yeah.
Yeah, he's incredible, man. I honestly believe, like, if fucking Les Claypool hurt his hand, he could fill in for Primus. No fucking problem.
Oh fucking hell, man.
He's-
That's
Did you ever hear that
exactly.
record him and I did, that instrumental
Chowder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear that album?
Yeah.
If you ever want to
Yeah.
hear Dougie play bass and like what he's capable of, man, that's the one to listen to because he's insane on it.
Yeah. I haven't listened to that for a long time. I had it on CD, but I don't think I ever put it on my computer. So I listened to it in my car. I haven't listened to that for fucking ages, though, man.
Yeah.
I remember you using like Moog on it.
There's like
the Moog synth and being like, oh man, this is like Rush fucking. I'm a big Rush fan, so it's just
Okay.
actually that's how myself and you started talking. I think Troy picked you guys up in the car, and
Yeah, we're playing
Troy,
in like
yeah.
someplace outside of London. Where was
St
that?
Albans.
St Albans.
Yeah, and that's right. And like, so it was me and Troy, and we picked you guys up, and we were talking, and I saw the Rush sticker on your guitar case, and I walked up, and you guys were just on stage, like sound checking or whatever. I was like, "Who's the Rush fan?" And this fucker was just like, "Me." Got a problem with that? And I was like, "No, man, I love Rush. I've never
sure
met
that's
anyone
an
else who likes."
exaggerated story.
That was the actual truth, man. That's
Rush
exactly
fans don't talk like that.
But I was like, I'd never met anyone else at that time that liked Rush, so I was like, I need to fucking speak to this guy so I could talk to someone about Rush. So I think,
Yeah, I made a lot of friends that way, man. Like I met Tubbs. He was wearing a Saxon t-shirt, and I was like,
Yeah.
"It's a kid at a hardcore show here with a Saxon
Saxon
shirt
too.
on. Like, what? That's crazy,
Yeah.
you know." And I was, started talking to him, and he's like, "Oh, I'm into all this stuff." I was like, "This is great." Kids in America, they hid that stuff. They didn't want to talk
Yeah, they
about
didn't want to
bands
talk
like
about
that
shit.
because it wasn't cool, like to be a fan of like all kinds of different music,
yeah,
Just
it's
had
weird.
to like have the first Madball record and nothing else. And
Yeah. I think there's a certain amount of that here as well. Like, just people just sort of somehow have this kind of like image of like, especially when you're younger as well. You want to like project this image of like just being as into hardcore as you could possibly
yeah.
be.
You can't talk about nothing.
But to be
else,
fair,
right?
that
Yeah.
type of music is a unique. You either like it or you don't. It's not. I don't think it's so much because it's uncool. It's just a different type of sound, isn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. But I mean, all I'm saying is I think
it's also
the people,
uncool.
It is
Extremely fucking uncool.
It's very uncool. It's very uncool. But like,
I don't know nothing about them type of bands. I've got to be honest, man.
Yeah,
But I will
no,
give it.
I know.
Yeah.
I only, do you know what? I used to go to this vinyl shop that used to sell secondhand vinyl, and I just used to pick, because they were like £2 or £3 a pop. I used to just pick up 30 quid's worth, and I'd do it. It was that kind of thing where you'd say, "Oh, I've heard of Rush. I got the Hemispheres album on vinyl. That's the first thing I ever heard by them." It was this cool like gatefold thing with, and the art was fucking really cool and interesting. I thought, "Oh, fucking up, I'll listen to it." And then the first time I listened to it, I was just like, "What the fuck is this, man?" Like, that album is like, Geddy's vocals are like higher than any other album. I think, like, you know what I mean, in pitch. He's like, I think they actually, I saw a thing, they recorded that album and like, they didn't realise that they were recording it in a key that
They were
Geddy
a half step higher than E or something like that.
yeah, it was like E sharp or something, and he couldn't quite reach it, and it took him ages to do the vocals because it was like higher than he was used to singing. And I remember the first time I put it on, I was like, Jesus, what the fuck am I listening to? Side A is one tune which lasts 18 minutes,
Oh fuck that.
and but you know what?
That's a
fucking love
hardcore
that song.
band's whole set.
Yeah.
I can listen to that tune all day though. Side A of Hemispheres, I love it, and side B is fucking brilliant. Like, and it was only like a couple of days later, and I was just like, I had the fucking dun, 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 like, because it repeats all the way through that song at various stages. I just had it in my head. I was like, I'm gonna put that on again. A couple of days later, dun, 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 dun.
Once it gets its hooks in you,
Yeah.
it's over.
Totally did, man. And then I just obsessed over it for years.
Everyone but us. Straight from the heart of London.
We are back in the room. We had to stop for some
Refreshments.
refreshments.
Cup of tea,
Tea and
crumpets.
tea crumpets.
And scones.
See, Josh was saying I never knew that we're known for tea and bad teeth.
Yeah.
That's amongst our American people.
I'm offended, man. Let's go over
Yeah.
there and have it out.
Let's have a tea.
We tried that once. Didn't work out.
Oh, there's three of us now.
now
Three
we
of you. Three of us and one of you.
all the tea got dashed into the fucking, was it the Boston River?
Boston Harbor.
Boston Harbour, yeah, like it all got dashed in there, man. All that good tea, just fucking wasted.
Man, we don't have any respect for a good cup of tea in America.
Yeah, it's all Mountain Dew and fucking.
Like iced tea, sweet tea.
Oh god, the sweet
Yeah.
tea! I tried sweet tea from North Carolina. Oh,
What's that
jeez.
like?
Oh my god!
Gave you diabetes instantly.
Instantly, like it's just like just take a sip.
Bare
of it, you're
sweeteners in it. Is it
fuck,
loads of sweeteners?
Fuck, like,
You know, I learned the trick, man. I was working with somebody, and they sent somebody out to McDonald's to get a sweet tea, but they have them put it half unsweetened and half sweet tea, and it's like the perfect mix.
oh okay.
You
Yeah.
know, you get a
you
whole
go.
sweet tea, man. You're
Oh,
gonna
it's
die.
powerful, man.
It'll kill you.
Powerful.
I'm gonna have to try this actually. I'm not
It's not like our Lipton fucking iced tea shit, man. This shit is like
just
like,
sugar.
No, just pure sugar, like yeah.
It's
When
so
you-
thick,
so
man. It's
thick.
like syrup.
When you go to the
Oh.
States, what's your go-to food that you love?
Oh man, if it depends what you.
What do you think? What do you think the States have got over? Because shout out to our friends in Wisdom in Chains, Richie, Joe, and all the
Phil.
lads. They always say that English food sucks. On their podcast, quite a lot.
That's actually a pretty, that is a thing in America. People say that about English food, but I've never found that personally, man.
Yeah, I thought like
I can
quite a
find
lot
something
of-
good to eat wherever I
we-
go.
You know what?
Yeah.
We're from London as well, though. So we got any fucking food you want.
That's true.
To be
That's
fair, I
true.
don't really eat English food very often.
Yeah, I mean,
If you mention it.
we're talking about proper English food. Most English food is proper like hearty, sort of like root vegetable shit. So wintertime, you get yourself a nice shepherd's pie. Everyone loves
Yeah,
what's
pies
it?
are
Yeah,
great,
pies
man.
are good.
Yeah.
Everyone loves
Fish and chips.
Fish and chips. Everyone
Yeah.
loves what roast dinners and stuff like.
You
so,
can't beat a roast, man.
can't
And you
beat
can't
a
beat a
roast.
fucking fry up either.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
It's
those
breakfast.
it's always the hearty meals that are really good. But if anything else, which is like during the fucking summer and that, it's like fucking cucumber sandwiches
Yeah.
and fucking mother's pride bread or something like that.
Yeah.
That's the best we fucking got for like light shit. Like,
I think
You know-
in this country we're getting into like spicy stuff a lot. Indian food is massive.
We've
So
got a
is
lot of big
Chinese.
mixture
And,
of food, like
Yeah.
even like not just English food. You can literally get any type of food.
anything, mate.
Yeah.
And even now we've got a lot of our friends from Eastern Europe here as well. So you can get Lithuanian food, you get Polish food, you get everything now.
Yeah, it's
So,
like New York City, man.
It's,
Like
I was literally
Yeah,
about to come into
yeah,
that and say that.
yeah.
It's like literally like, it's a melting pot of like different cultures and
so
stuff.
many different cultures. Of course, you're going to get the food that comes along with that. London's just as good as New York, as far as I've found.
Yeah.
Maybe not the pizza.
Oh, that's
You guys got to
yeah,
work.
yeah,
You
yeah.
guys got to
Yeah,
work on your pizza.
Yeah, your pizza.
Yeah.
your
But that's
pasta
everywhere in
smashing.
America too. New York there's only one New York pizza.
Yeah, no,
you
your
go
pizza
to New
is on.
Jersey and it's not as good. You go to
Yeah.
fucking Connecticut, it's not as good.
You've been to Chicago?
It's mad, isn't
I
it?
haven't. I've been through it, but I've never had the
Never-
pizza
you
there.
never had the
I
pizza
want a
there.
Chicago.
That's not
I was,
really
do you know what I was
pizza,
saying
though.
this last night to my girlfriend. I was saying I really want to fucking go to Chicago so I can have a fucking Chicago pizza.
So let's picture this, right? Steve's lying in bed. They're watching EastEnders. Then out of the
I don't
blue,
watch EastEnders, mate.
out of the blue, you said
you do.
you want a Chicago pizza.
No, we were having a conversation, and I was fucking just going off on a tangent about I don't even know what we were talking about. But I went off on a tangent about pizza.
It's thick in Chicago, right? It's like a pie, like a
Yeah.
deep dish pie full of cheese and sauce. It's not like a thin slice like
Yeah.
New York style.
yeah,
Which
yeah.
I prefer.
The cheese is on the bottom,
The
isn't
cheese on the bottom, they put the
Yeah.
fucking sauce on the top. It's like
Right.
basically a pizza jacuzzi almost. Like.
it? Yeah.
What is the most famous American dish?
Steak, right?
Is that an American dish though? Can you call that's like saying
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and claim it.
That's sick.
Here
no, but
today,
it's like
yeah.
it's not a dish, is it? Really? Like, what would you say?
Cheeseburger, right?
Did you invent it?
Yeah. Like a hamburger came
Hamburger.
from Germany.
Fried chicken.
Was it?
Hamburger came from
Yeah, you
Germany.
invite. Yeah, you invite.
Yeah, of course, fried
Fried
chicken.
chicken, collard greens.
Yeah. Soul food in general.
Yeah, barbecue
Sounds
stuff,
winning
man.
Barbecue.
I really
Except for
need to visit the south to go to
barbecue.
their barbecue
If
places.
you go to North Carolina, they got this vinaigrette barbecue shit down. Have you ever tried that?
Oh yeah, it's my favorite.
Is that your favourite?
Yeah.
I wasn't feeling it at all, man.
No?
Just imagine like balsamic vinegar or like malt vinegar inside the fucking meat, so it's just soaked within the
Oh
meat.
no!
Oh,
yeah,
That's the best way. It
Soaked.
doesn't have like the barbecue sauce on it, you know.
It's just soaked in vinegar, man. It's weird.
It's
You
cooked
want
in
the high-
spices, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you just put like this vinegar like based barbecue sauce on it, like afterwards with coleslaw. That's the joint.
Oh man, can you
I
cook,
have to
Josh?
try it.
Oh, Bojangles is
not
fucking
very
real
well.
as well, man.
I can make a couple things, you know. I can make a spaghetti, hook up some burgers or something, you know. My girlfriend's the cook. She's
Oh,
awesome.
I know what America's national dish is. sloppy fucking Joes.
Yeah, that's one.
Nah, that's our kids. America's got great food, but barbecue in America is like the number one thing. But for me, it's all about pizza, good barbecues, and I like home fries. I do like American style home fries. What they do, man.
What about cheesesteaks too? I guess on the East Coast.
Yeah.
I think it's crazy that like last time I was in the States, there was one cafe that we used to visit every morning, and people were eating steaks for breakfast, man.
Yeah,
It's
steak
called
and
a
eggs.
Big ass
It's
steaks.
not called a cab. It's called a diner.
A diner.
Do you know what? That's one thing I
yeah.
really like about America,
Yeah.
right? Is that after you've been to a club and you've been out, you
There's
can go to,
something, yeah.
go to a diner, sit down,
Yeah.
fucking sober up, have some food, and fuck. Do you know what I mean? I really like that, man.
Yeah, because everything
Don't really have
closes
that
here
here.
except for kebab shops.
That's what sucks. Yeah.
Over here, you just go to a kebab shop and get into
Which
a
is
fight.
fine with me.
It's like,
You don't really get kebab shops in the States, do you?
We have none that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
So like literally, you didn't know about the kebab until you came.
Until I came here.
That's kind of insane.
oh
isn't
wow.
it?
Yeah.
And that's the most
But
shittiest
it's like
meat.
kebabs, what they serve over there, and it's like gyros and shit. So you have like your little,
Yeah.
what they call it, like you're the dude that does a halal. That's what they call kebab as well, halal.
Well, they have halal carts, and that's kind of different from the kebabs. You know, kebab you get it at a pita, and it's like the sliced meat off the round thing, the spit, whatever the fuck
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
called. Over there, the halal, like the halal carts in New York, it's like crumbled meat almost, like burger or something. But you get chicken,
Chopped off like.
chopped up, done on a grill with rice, with that white sauce, man, it's so good.
Oh man, yeah.
You can tell we're
Best.
hungry, can't you?
Yeah.
Oh, just a quick thing. Obviously, we'll go back into it. When you guys played the Jam Bar in Brixton in 2006, it was, because I know you went to. Was it 8? Yeah,
I think it was 8.
Okay, 2008. There was a halal meat shop across the road from there, and it was called Halal. Is it meat you're looking for?
That's it. I don't remember that.
That's awesome, man. Hello. Is it me you're looking for? That's some fucking.
That's amazing.
That's the one thing I
That's
give out to my
pretty
Asian
legit.
brothers. My Asian brothers got some funny, like on their shops. They got some funny little.
I like when they rip off all like the Sainsbury's and Tesco, so it'll be like Sainsbury's, but it'll be like Singsbury's or something.
Yeah.
That's real shit, man.
Yeah.
And then they end up getting the fucking a letter from the fucking
Cease
lawyers.
and desist.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh, Josh, man, I wanted to ask you, how did the link with Ruction, like your first trip to London? Can you remember how that all come about?
I think the person that hipped Maddie and those guys to Stout was Aldito.
Aldito, our boy.
And he
Really?
contacted me about working with Ruction, and we didn't know anything about any of that shit back in those days. We were like, who's this guy? British hardcore? Like, what? Like, the Exploited? So we were pretty clueless, and we talked a little bit, and that nothing ever came of it. And then I think Maddie contacted somebody like Tad or something.
That's Matty Ninebar, right?
Yeah. And they said they wanted to put the record out. That we had already released that first album in the States. Tad and I put it out on our own label.
Yeah.
And they got a copy of it somehow, and they were like stoked on it, so they wanted to re-release it over here. Which we were like, yeah, cool, So I think they came over one time. It was Matt and Muggsy and Dingus.
Oh,
Jesus.
Yeah.
And Fatty. Yeah, it was Fatty.
Oh, yeah.
They came over for a show or a couple days or something like that. We all sat down and talked about it and shit, and they were like, yeah, let's do this. And then the record came out, and then they got us that 2005 when I met you and you, Wayma.
Yeah.
We played at Ninja Fest, I guess, that week, didn't we? That was like
I
the
don't
reason for
fuck it.
coming
My
over.
memory is so fucking
I
shot.
think it was. I think Knuckle Dust played, but they
remember.
weren't supposed to originally. Am I right about that?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
You
I
guys
believe
played the
so.
Sunday or something.
Yeah.
We played the Saturday, maybe.
That was your first time to London, was it?
I had been through London before with that band Together We Fall. Do you remember that band? They were that was the guitar player. A couple guys from Next Step Up. It was like the side band that they did.
Oh, okay.
I played bass for them on a short European tour over here. It didn't last very long. It wasn't very successful. It was kind of like the Ambush tour in America. Kind of thing.
Yes. That was a proper Spinal Tap tour. by
Yeah,
the way.
man. That's exactly how this was.
Yeah.
Nothing went right. But I had come through, but I never met anybody. You know, we were playing in like, you know, Hereford and shit, man. We Wales, and you know, we were out in Swansea. I think we played in Nottingham.
Oh, right, yeah,
Just
yeah.
all these really strange. We played Nottingham at the Old Angel. Number of paid customers, 0.
Oh, wow.
Oh, really?
0 paid.
Nottingham's a good city
shit.
for rock music,
We
usually.
played with
Not
that
for
band,
hardcore, though, is it? Not
No, maybe not, no.
Not for hardcore.
Yeah.
You heard of that band Underrule? Do you guys remember that
Yeah,
band
yeah,
Underrule?
yeah.
Underrule,
We
yeah.
played shows with those guys. They were awesome, man.
Yeah, they were good. Yeah,
Best
yeah.
fucking band.
Tight band, weren't they?
So
very
heavy.
tight.
Good guys too, man. They really welcomed us, man. They made us feel like, you know, they were happy to like be doing shows with us and shit, you know.
Yeah.
And at that show, that they whatever paid, I think we got paid anyway, and they gave it to us and shit. And that was our last show. We were like, all right, we're going home. Nobody cares. Let's go home.
This town's going on the list of never to return to.
But the first time, I ever came to London was with you know, the Ruction guys. We did the first show in Europe is Stout. We played in Germany, I guess, one of those Essen fests. What the hell were those fests called that Rico used to do?
Feel the Hate?
Bring about the glory.
No, it wasn't that.
Wasn't Feel the Hate, no.
No,
Phil-
No, that's Axel's.
No.
That's
Axel's.
Shit, what was that called? 6 Foot Ditch played. We played.
There were so many fests in Essen around that time.
Chris Hensel's band played.
Mushmouth.
Not much. Out to Win, yeah.
Oh, we should know this.
What the fuck was that called? Settle the Score played. It was like that era, you know. That
Yeah.
early 2000s, mid 2000s.
I bet there was a lot of people there. I bet it was.
Yeah, that was a
packed.
good one, man.
Yeah,
It was
'cause
packed.
Essen, yeah.
And then we met up there. Then we played in Belgium with Special Move, and that's when I met those guys.
fuck, man.
And then the next show was in London. We played at the Grosvenor. Was the first London show.
Fuck, I remember that show.
Yeah,
actually.
that's when I met a
think
lot of
played-
you guys.
BDF played that, I think.
You did.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, it was a good lineup. It was
Yeah.
Prowler, the first time we saw Prowler.
That's right.
Shout out to Clara.
I remember that show.
Stomped the shit out of us that night, man. Those guys were awesome.
What I
9
know.
Bar.
Yeah, 9 Bar.
Yeah, we got to see everybody that night. Met a lot of people. That was awesome, man. That was the best tour. It was so much fun.
I mean, I'm not just saying it because you're in the room, but what was a lot of times you can invite a band over and you just don't click with the people in the band.
Nah, you
Oh
don't.
man, that was never the case
yeah.
for us.
No, with you guys, it was
Man,
just
we
like
just, like,
you
made
were just
so many
like, we
friends.
for
That's-
years, or like
Yeah.
It's like we just
You
knew
clicked.
each other all along,
Yeah.
almost, you know.
It was fucking such a good vibe, man.
My one memory that at that St Albans show is we were standing there in the bar, I think after you played, and Tad got a pint of Guinness and fucking downed it in one. And I was looking at him, I was like, you're not supposed to do that. So and then I just thought, all right, we're gonna get along with these people quite well.
Yeah, well, we loved to drink, and that
Yeah.
that was perfect. You know, you
And
guys did too.
I remember I've got a photo of this guy at the Underworld. I remember just standing there. You were on one that night, and just went up to the bar, and he was like, "Give me 17 shots of Sambuca." And
Well,
the
we tried
barmaid
to
was
get
like,
Jägermeister, we didn't have enough. Remember?
and it's just a photo of him just going, like, with this manic look on his face, with all these shots just lined up on
Like
the
a
bar.
tray of like fucking. Yeah, I think I still have that photo too.
This is why he got kicked out of Next Step Up.
Yeah, but see, I came from Next Step Up into the perfect band.
Yeah, because
You know, everybody else in that band was, except for Dougie, of
That
course,
was
was a
the
straight
Next
edge.
Step
But Tad and Scott, I mean, we were birds of a feather from day one, man. We were a mess.
I think generally, you know, when a band comes over and they like to party, they're just going to get along with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
If people just like having fun and partying and stuff and don't take themselves too seriously.
I think that was the main ingredient right there. You just said it, man. Like people that didn't take themselves too seriously. It's all jokes over here, man. You know, there was never no fucking like chest bumping and like attitudes and egos and shit like that. We just never found that over here, which is great.
How many times do you play London? I mean, or how many times do you tour
At Stout, we did.
Europe and
Well, we did that first one, and then we came back when Sleep Bitch came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a rager.
Yeah.
We played all over the UK. That we didn't even go into Europe. We were like, we're just playing England. That's it. I think we played Wales. We
That's
played one
it,
night in
yeah,
Wales,
because-
Scotland.
You done. It was. I remember it was the 12-bar show, which was the busiest I'd ever seen. The busiest I'd ever been in the 12-bar since, obviously, well, after that was a Knuckle Dust show the one before it closed down.
I don't think that was the same tour. The time we played 12 Bar was the same time we played Jam Bar.
Yeah, okay then.
That same weekend we played 12 Bar, Bristol,
then Jam
back
Bar,
to London.
back to London.
You did a tour of London.
Yeah,
that's fucking.
It was perfect for us. That's all we wanted to do. You know, all that week before that I was talking about, that little Sleep Bitch tour we did. You know, we played all these fucking other places. We drove all the way to Scotland. We played in fucking Southend or something. How far did we get west? Maybe, I think we played Bristol that time too. But those shows were never as good, man. You know, you come back to London and it was like, now we got the London show. You know?
It's time to get our drink on.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That was like the reward for the tour. You know? Like, that time we played a great London show. Remember that venue that was like, it was downstairs in a basement and had all that psychedelic shit painted all over the walls?
Yeah.
You were there.
It was a pub in fucking King's Cross, I think.
I
don't remember what it was called. It was like a hipster pub upstairs. It had like, you know these pubs.
Wasn't Cross Kings, was it?
It was kind of out of the way.
Yeah, it was like these pubs, right? And it just sort of like, it's almost as if they'd bought the most old-fashioned looking stuff that they could find, and they had board games that people could fucking play while they're in the pub. And I remember walking in there thinking, this is not my kind of place. Like, I don't want to go into a pub that has board games, man. I want to go into a pub that smells a bit and fucking has curtains instead of windows, like
the Spanish bar.
Yeah, the Spanish bar. Now, that was the fucking place, man. Did you two ever go to that?
No.
It was like an after hour. So after the club shut, or after you'd finished drinking at Crowbar or something like that, you walk around the corner, and there was this little fucking doorway, and you knocked on it, and someone would come out. Well, it's just like they'd just basically creak the door and
go, just eyeball you, you know.
Yeah, and they kind of go, okay, yeah, you can come in, and you give them a tenner or a fiver or whatever it is, and you would walk down this creaky wooden fucking staircase that looks like it was about to fall down. There was no other entry or exit than that, so if there was a fire, you're dead. Because the wooden staircase would be the first thing to burn.
Not to mention, it was so crowded you couldn't even like move in the place.
It was so busy, and they had this bar just selling like fucking warm cans of beer for like £3 a pop. And
like a speakeasy.
Yeah, it was just like they never just playing salsa music and stuff like that. We used to go there.
Yeah.
South, yeah, and we used to just go there and fucking after, if you just wanted to carry on drinking till whatever time in the morning, you could just go there. It's a fucking strange place for us to be hanging out, but
it was.
They served.
But you had a good time.
It was fun. Yeah, it was good fun.
Good old days of London, eh?
Yeah, there's no places like that anymore that I know about.
So, Josh, man, what point did you leave Stout then?
I think the last show I did was in 2010. 2009 or 2010.
So you've been out of the band for 8?
Yeah, man, it's been almost a decade.
Wow.
Strange.
Do you mind me asking? Am I okay to ask why you left, or?
Yeah, I was too good for them, man.
Straight to the point.
You know, I'm a real musician, and I can't fucking waste my time. No. I had a lot of fucking real life shit going on. Like I said, I moved back to my hometown from Baltimore, and I was going through a really difficult custody situation for my son, you know, and without getting into any personal details about that, it was, you know,
of course.
It was just too much, man. I was really dealing with a lot of bullshit, like lawyers and courts, and that's all I could handle besides work, really, you know.
Yeah.
And I just felt bad, like holding those guys back, like I can't do this show or I can't do that show, and they would have been cool with it, but it just didn't feel right.
Yeah.
On my part, you know, I felt a lot of guilt about that. And I didn't, you know, I kind of just wanted to be free of it so I could really concentrate on what I need to concentrate on. And, you know, it worked out for me. It worked out for me and my son. And so it was the right move to make. And then from that point on, I just focused all that energy that, you know, I was putting into playing in bands all these years into being a dad, you know. And I kind of just...
It's really good, man. That's awesome.
I liked it, you know. Like, I thought I would miss music so much, but then I just found this new thing that I put that same energy into. You know, that same passion. And
did your son
here we are, still to this day. That's the same way it's been.
That's dope. Did your son like Stout? Did he listen to that type of music? Or?
Actually, I don't know if you saw the videos that I posted at the time on Facebook or whatever. But I did a reunion with them. Well, not it was a reunion, but I played a show with them. It was like a benefit. I think it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago. Frank was about 10 or 11.
Oh
maybe.
Yeah, I think I saw that. Yeah.
And he came up and sang part of "She." He did Scott Moore's part. at the show, you know.
Nice.
This is why I didn't know that you left the band actually, because
Oh,
I
'cause you
remember
saw me play
I
with
saw
that, yeah.
and I just thought I knew Stout wasn't
yeah.
playing a lot, so I just thought, Stout played the show, and I saw the pictures of you on it, so I was assumed.
Right. Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Shit,
But yeah, we
man.
did that one for Tad because he was, you know, dealing with some health issues and stuff. And you know, they asked me if I'd be interested. I said, absolutely. You know,
That's really cool, man.
Yeah.
of course, anything for him.
How is Tad now? Is he?
Seems to be doing well, man. I know that, you know, with what he was dealing with, you know, you have things that you have to look out for and stay on top of, and you know, constantly monitoring things. But you know, I haven't had any bad news in a while, and as far as I'm concerned, that's good news. So.
Yeah. So would you have any plans to sort of do any music going forward now?
I don't know. Like, I really don't have the strong desire to do it. I mean, if something kind of cool popped up with people that, you know, were interested in doing something that was low key, maybe. You know.
Do you
I
still
definitely have no plans. That's
do you,
for sure.
do you still go to many hardcore shows and stuff, or are you mainly into the?
I don't go to many shows, period, man. Like, the only shows that I really find myself out that often are like bigger concerts that I take my son to, you know.
Yeah.
Just like, again, like these dinosaurs that are, you know, becoming extinct, you know, faster than we can fucking go see them, you know. I just want him to be able to, you know, have seen some of these greats, you know. But he's probably the last generation that we'll get to. Like, he's the last generation who'll get to see Paul McCartney or Ozzy Osbourne,
Yeah.
you know,
That's
Black
the thing.
Sabbath or Rush or any of these bands from the 70s. This is it. This is the final, you know.
Did you manage to get him to a Rush show before they?
That was his first
We're talking
concert.
about Rush again.
Oh wow! Yeah.
He's
Rush
seen
are
him.
important.
He's seen him 4 times.
Me and Lewis were just
Oh
leaving
wow!
the
Fuck,
room.
that's the same amount as me.
We were, this is a funny story. We were in South Carolina. We went to Charleston one time just to check it out. You know, we did like a little southern road trip. And we sat at this restaurant, this seafood restaurant in Charleston. And it was like a communal table, you know. They had 2 seats on the end. So Frank and I sat down. And he was about 8 years old, 9. And he had his Rush concert shirt on that he got at the show, you know.
Yeah.
And this guy sitting next to me, he's like, oh, you know, you got a Rush shirt on. You know, you probably never even, you really a Rush fans. Your dad make you wear that. Like,
Yeah.
he's like, I've seen him like twice or however many times was it that time. The guy was like, oh. He's like, oh, I've never seen him. Frank might have been like, how many times have you seen him? You know, like in the child's innocence, the guy was like, none.
Fucking hell.
But I heard Tom Sawyer on the radio when
Shut
it
up,
came out.
motherfucker.
Yeah.
No, man, but yeah, we just want to thank you, man, for doing this, man. I know you was over here.
Oh, it's fun, man.
Yeah,
Definitely.
we wanted to catch up with you, man, and just say you're doing like.
Yeah.
It's been a while. I haven't seen you in what? I
It's
don't
been
know.
a long time since I've seen you
Yeah.
for sure, man. Probably 10 years.
Shit, man.
Something like
Right.
that. It's weird though because, you know, with the internet presence, it doesn't feel like that anymore. Like as if it were before that.
Yeah.
You know, it would have been a lot different. But you know, you see each other like goofing around online, see each other playing shows or doing this, doing that.
I mean,
It's
that's
almost like you know what's going on in people's lives.
for me. That's the one thing that's like stopped me from deleting my Facebook account is the friends I've got overseas because I can't really deal with Facebook. But like, that's the one thing. It's good for that you can see your friends abroad, see how they're doing.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know what I
You know,
mean?
even if you don't interact that much, you just kind of
Yeah,
pop
yeah.
in on them here and there, you know, and be like, okay, I'm
Plus-
still alive, still happy.
You don't be running
Yeah.
up that fucking phone bill again, innit? You be beating yourself. Kicking your
Fucking
own door,
images
man.
of his father's fucking demon eyes keeping him away from that.
But yeah, Josh, I was going to ask just like a little, it's not so much a personal question, but like, I'm sure most people know the TV program, The Wire. Like, how, I mean, you might know
man.
some little bits about it, but how much the true life is that sort of thing? Like
It's
down there in Baltimore?
fairly accurate, man. A lot of the stories, from what I understand, that were on that show were based on things that really happened in the city, you know?
Yeah.
I don't remember specific things, but when I was watching it, I was really into it. And I was
Yeah.
asking questions and reading up about it and stuff. But yeah, Baltimore's a pretty dark place, man, when it comes to drugs and the influence that it has on the politicians there and things like that. Like, I can't remember the name of the white politician, the young guy.
Oh,
What was his name?
Carcetti.
Carcetti.
Yeah.
He was basically, his character was based on an actual politician in Baltimore, O'Malley.
Okay.
You know?
Oh, the one who was smoking crack? Is it not that one?
No, that
No.
was a DC guy.
That was a DC guy, yeah.
But yeah, a lot of that stuff was really based in fact, you know, in truth. And I'm sure they embellished on it and diminished it based on for television.
Drama
But,
side of shit.
you know, the coolest thing about The Wire was the Stout shirts. You know, they made it onto the show.
Yeah,
Oh, is it right?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
Stout
I didn't see that.
shirt,
What
Stout-
episode?
I wouldn't be able to remember what episode.
Oh,
it was.
okay.
Stout
There's
shirt,
definitely a prison scene because this dude Aaron, who used to work at the strip club across from Reptilian Records, was in that strip scene and he had a Stout shirt on. But there might have been another scene too, with something else. But the sidebar's in it also, where you guys played. Yeah,
I played
cool,
the side.
man.
that's where they have the cop funerals at, like the wakes for the cop funerals.
Yeah.
That's the sidebar.
Oh,
shit.
for real?
Yeah, they changed the awning and put like an Irish pub like awning on it and stuff.
Oh shit, man.
So as Baltimore kind of recovered from, like, obviously there was a couple of years ago, I'm not sure how long ago it was, but there was like a massive riot there, wasn't there?
Oh, yeah.
There was that kid who actually got beaten up by police officers.
Yeah,
and
they
shit.
took him on a rough ride and shit, killed him in the back of the truck.
That's the one, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that happening. I was off that day and just watching it on the news and stuff, and just it was sad. It was terrible times, man.
Fuck, man.
Well, there's nothing like ending a podcast on a high note.
Yeah.
No, I remember when I was in this. Sorry,
No, so I just, you know what I mean? Because sometimes when you see stuff like that, you just take into account that you hear from the news or you read Facebook comments of people who are like pro this or against that, and it's just a back and forth. So if you can actually hear from someone who lives near or is close to a city such as that, and they can offer their perspective.
Yeah,
and say,
fake news, all fake news.
No, it's not fake in Baltimore, man.
No,
There's definitely a fucking
yeah.
racial divide, man.
Yeah.
Baltimore is a 60% minority city, so that's unusual in the States, you know. Obviously, cities have more minorities in general, but Baltimore is definitely a black and white city more than a culturally diverse city. And,
When you say black and white, you mean segregated?
well, you know, more by, you know, finances and economy more than by color, but the minority is African American in Baltimore. You know, it's fewer Hispanic and Asian than in like a DC or a Philadelphia or something like that. So I mean, there's a lot of racism, man. It's real. You know, it's a tense city because of that.
I remember
really
when
is.
I was in this when Knuckle Dust played New York and we actually played Baltimore. Our good friend Glenn from Billy Club Sandwich drove us from New York to Baltimore.
Yeah.
And a few people were saying, when you go to Baltimore, it's different. It's different. And I was like, what do you mean it's different? They went, it's different. And I remember just rolling up to the sidebar. We played that venue, and then coming out, and it was just fucking. It was just, you know, like you feel like anything can just pop off at any minute.
Yeah.
It was that vibe, and I got talking to this girl. She wasn't actually at the show. She just happened to be outside, and I was talking to this girl for about half an hour, right? And this black guy kept fucking looking at me. I'm thinking, who the fuck? What does this guy want?
Yeah.
So anyway, this girl, like, I'm having a normal conversation with her, and then I said to her at the end of the conversation, "Do you know that guy?" And she goes, "Oh yeah, well, yeah, I used to be a crackhead, and he runs this gang, and he used to sell drugs to me, and he most probably thinks you're trying to sell drugs to me now." And I was like, "All right, goodbye."
Yeah.
And I was like, and then I remember like, just some funny things like I had a dead rat thrown at me from
What?
There was like this dead rat, like it was fucking massive, like a cat outside the venue. Yeah, and then the kids from the venue, it was all done in good fun.
Yeah.
Picking up this rat and just fighting at each other.
That was like fun.
Yeah, this just sounds like.
It's not my idea of fun. But
Fucking dead rat, you mate. Jesus.
There's a video with it on YouTube. I tried to find it, and I can't fucking find it.
I remember that happening.
Do you remember that happening?
I wasn't there that night. I was
That's how the fucking bubonic plague started.
right. It's all in good fun.
No, it was all in good fun.
It's all in good fun until somebody starts a plague.
Until half of your country dies.
But I think what I meant is you could just tell, like, you could just feel like, you could sense like anything could pop up at any moment, man. So it's a raw place, man. For real.
Yeah.
I remember actually Rich took us to the liquor store and fucking just said, right, you guys just stay in the car, don't get out of the car. He's just, if someone approaches the car, don't speak to them. I was like, okay. And he goes, if you do get out the car, do not go in that direction because you won't come back. I was like, I'm not getting out the car, don't worry.
Fucking hell.
And what's the marina like? I've heard a lot of good things. It's like really nice and shit over here.
The Harbor, you
The
mean?
harbour, yeah.
It's a tourist trap.
Oh, he's one of those spots,
Yeah. I mean, there's some nice stuff down there. There's like the aquarium, and if you're a tourist, that's where you go. You know, you're not going to go to the West Side and cop heroin, right? You're going to go to the fucking aquarium.
You take them on a little tour. Take them on a tour of the wire spots. Like,
Right.
No.
They actually have one of those. They have
wire
wire
tour.
tours. That
I would
people take
do that
on
in a
these
heartbeat,
fucking
man.
tours.
Yeah.
Driving tours
Yeah.
and shit, man. Like they have maps on the internet that
I'll
you can
do that
just
in a
print out
heartbeat.
and like drive through the fucking West Side and some of these
Fuck that.
fucking nasty spots.
Yeah.
Like somebody's gonna get hurt eventually.
That's
you
like,
know?
it's almost like fucking poverty porn and that sort of fucking stuff.
Yeah, right,
Yeah,
right. I
yeah.
mean, there's some hot corners that it takes you through and stuff, man. Like, I wouldn't do that. I
Yeah,
wouldn't drive
you
through
fucking live
there.
there as well. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
you know the area.
Yeah. No, I'm fucking. I tell you what, actually, I was driving us, I think from Frederick to Rich's house when the ambush tour was going on, and I took a wrong turning off at the highway, and it was alright. The sat nav said, "Oh, you can just get straight back on." But while we were sitting at the traffic lights waiting to go back onto the onto the on ramp, we looked around and it was like, this looks like The Wire. Where we are now looks like The Wire. I was like, and Tubbs started freaking out. I was like, all right, calm down, we're getting back on, don't worry. But inside I was like, yeah, no, I want to get the fuck back on.
A lot of the actors that were in The Wire were just kids from the streets.
Real
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, it's true.
Like, and they're just now some of them have got a career. You got the dude doing Creed. What's his name? The black dude, the one that got shot in The Wire. The young black guy.
The guy that played Omar.
That's not
No, you
narrowing
know
it down,
Creed.
is it?
You know Creed, the film with the black boxer.
Like the Rocky.
Rocky.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
I haven't seen it, but I know. Yeah, I know
Oh,
what
right.
you're talking about. Is
That was on
Michael-
telly the other night.
He was in The Wire. He was a young kid. I don't know if you remember.
Wasn't that Michael B. Jordan or something like that? Is that
Yeah.
his name?
Oh, we're gonna Google. I'm gonna have to Google this really quickly.
That's
now.
the guy they're like
Yeah, that's
prepping
his
for the
name.
new
Michael B. Jordan.
Superman or something. That guy.
Or Black Superman.
I think so.
Alright, let's do it. I could play
Yeah,
Black
no, I
Superman.
saw someone tweet about that the other day, and I thought, yeah, why not, man?
Yeah, Michael B.
Good.
Jordan. Michael B. Jordan. But
Can you
anyway.
imagine how pissed off?
You didn't fucking believe me. You had to go to Google.
Fanboys and that.
Can you imagine how pissed off like the fucking right wing Trump supporting fucking Britain first type people would be if you had a black Superman?
Oh, it's already happening, man. Like they posted some stuff
Oh,
on
right, is it
Facebook
happening?
about it, and yeah, it's already going
Yeah, but
on.
amazing.
we have the same shit over here with James Bond.
Yeah,
Yeah, right, with Idris Elba, right?
yeah. And I think it'd be fucking perfect for it.
Sure.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
got exactly the right fucking.
He's exactly the perfect fucking Bond.
Yeah.
But at the same time, does it matter? Like,
He'll probably turn up later.
It don't matter
every
as
mission.
well. And also like the female
Oh, shit,
Doctor Who
everyone's
as well,
dead,
man. The female Doctor Who as well. Jesus,
Oh,
the
yeah.
fucking storm that caused was ridiculous. So who gives a fuck? It's a
I know people
fictional
just get caught up
fucking
in
character.
their bullshit and realise that
Fucking nerds.
like what their parents or what their friends used to watch back in the day is not exactly what they're going to be getting right now. And things change, things progress, innit? But people like to keep in their fucking traditional fucking time loop, innit? So a lot of people are just, as you said, fucking nerds who are just dickheads as well. Like
That's
they want
age-
something to complain
That's
about.
all they have, so they're holding on real
They
tight.
want
you
something
know?
to complain about, and this is all I got. Like, so you don't change it. I don't want to see no fucking purple coloured fucking Doctor Who or fucking.
you have to remember, it's the age. I know this conversation has been had a million times, but it's the age of the internet where you can write some shit and just put it out there, and you don't have to answer to it. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly
So
that.
it's easy for people to say whatever the fuck they want. But on a positive note, just in regards to Baltimore, like two of the biggest hardcore bands now, biggest hardcore bands, Trapped Under Ice, Turnstile, are from Baltimore. So I just wanted to leave it on a positive note. That,
And also,
yeah, so
How is that a positive note when like you tell me that the other bands are?
I ain't gonna let you-
On a positive note, your band isn't one of them.
Well, we were talking,
And I'm
yeah.
sitting in a fucking hotel room talking to you guys.
I know. I've talking to a few members from Trapped Under Ice, and they talk highly of Stout.
Yeah,
so
they're good
yeah,
guys.
yeah,
and then
highly.
there's another new band that's been. They're not new, but they're making a lot of waves, and people do dig them. And that Queensway. You heard of
Oh, Queensway are hard.
They're really,
Yeah.
really good. Like, they're bottom
know
line.
Yeah.
There's another new band called Wolfsbane that you might want to check out.
Wolfsbane.
Yeah.
Isn't it? There's a,
That's
Wolf's
a name
Blood.
clash.
Might be Wolf's Blood.
Yeah, Wolfsbane.
That shows you how much I know involved I am.
There's a like
Well,
a 80s rock group over here called
oh, he
Wolfsbane.
goes again.
Blaze Bailey. Remember Blaze Bailey who sang for Iron Maiden?
Yes.
That's his original band called Wolfsbane. They're great as well, man.
I think I was wrong. I think it's Wolf's Blood.
Wolf's Blood.
Fuck do I
Shout out
know.
to Wolf's Blood, man.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Also,
man.
if we're talking about Baltimore bands, I must mention Kicks.
Come
one of
on,
my favourite old school bands.
Is it another one of your bands?
Fucking
Yeah.
hair metal.
Half this podcast, people gonna be like, who? What?
Yeah, well, they've got new
Why?
bands to check out now, haven't they?
Check out.
Hey? Blow my fuse. Or blow my fuse. That weird way that you people speak in Baltimore.
Blow my fuse.
Blow my fuse.
And go down the ocean on.
And on that note,
Yeah, let's do it.
this Josh, man, thank you so much, man, for taking your time
My
out.
pleasure,
to
man. Thanks for
talk
having me on.
complete and utter shit with us.
It's good times.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's been a fucking pleasure, man. My name's Waymar.
My name's Lewis Gino.
My name's Steve, but apparently not.
And his name is Josh. And we are the Everyone But Us podcast. Thank you and goodbye.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're listening to the Everyone But Us podcast, straight from the heart of London.